Welcome to Red Flags with Elissa.
Welcome to Red Flags with Elissa. I'm your host, Zofia Morales, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey through the intricate world of medical spa law. As a managing attorney with years of experience in this unique field, Elissa is here to shed light on the nuances and critical legal considerations that come with operating a medical spa. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the legal beauty of medical spas, where the intersection of healthcare and beauty is essential in today's evolving market. So let's get started. Grab your notepad because you won't want to miss the expert tips and advice that could pave the way for your medical spa's success. Today, we discuss entrepreneurship meets law, legal essentials for wellness and aesthetic business owners. Welcome, Elissa. I'm so happy to have you back with me.
Thank you. I love being here.
So you've carved out a really unique niche when it comes to wellness, aesthetic, and med spa businesses. What have you noticed that's changed the most in the industry since you started practicing in this space?
I think what has changed is the number of people, the number of medical spas that are really just kind of popping up everywhere. And I would really encourage consumers to do some homework, and make sure that they are part owned by a physician. I guess if you can't go onto the Secretary of State's website, make sure that on their webpage that there's a medical director.
Yeah.
And that medical director is actually a medical doctor. In the state of Texas, you can't have a nurse practitioner be a medical director. And so just really just, vetting and if you have friends that have gone to different spas, or even ask your PCP if they know of any, or
Right.
because they might have those connections. Oh yeah, my colleague, or oh yeah, my friend, or oh yeah, I'm about to do this. And always ask nurses always have their pulse to the healthcare field and market, and they will at least tell you which doctors to stay away from.
Absolutely. I was going to say they will tell it as it is and
They
the way
surely
they
will.
see it, and they tend to be really grounded.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have noticed this abundance of like med spas, popping up, as well as the abundance of cautionary tales in the news.
Yeah. Yeah, it's alarming. And I really think that, there's money to be made. And whenever there's an opportunity for money to be made, there will be people looking to take advantage, right? And so, although it seems superficial, oh, I'm just getting Botox, or oh, I'm just getting, an IV hydration. I had a party this weekend and I want to feel better. It is your health. And there are serious consequences. And that's what makes me nervous, is that some of these spas, they can look really pretty on the outside, but on the inside, they're not compliant. And if they're not compliant, then that's telling me that they did not take your health seriously enough. And
Exactly.
that's a huge flag.
So, with more healthcare professionals becoming entrepreneurs, how important is it for them to have legal counsel early on? And what key documents should they prioritize first as they're getting their ducks in a row and proving that your health is central to them?
Yes. So that is probably the biggest and the best question that I get, because I'm really passionate about helping people. And it's going to depend. If I have a nurse coming to me, like I have a client, and she's a nurse and she wants to start this, and a lot of people know, I think I need a medical director. I
Mhm.
think I need this, and that might be the only thing that they know, right? So in terms of how to set it up with that MSO, with the med spa LLC or clinic, and the documents that are related to that,
Yeah.
likewise or
Can I
similarly.
can I pause you
Sure,
for a second?
sure, sure, sure.
Just for those who are newer to this topic, what's an MSO?
Oh, sure. Management service organization. So the management service organization, that primary function and structure is to manage the admin for the med spa or for the
Okay.
clinic. Okay. So the MSO could be owned by anyone, a layperson. You could be a nurse, you could be a lawyer, you could be a podcast commentator, right? Like
Well,
it
and I
doesn't
might think
matter.
about it, right?
Right. It doesn't matter who owns the MSO because all the MSO is doing is the admin for that clinic. If it's not clinical, it's administrative, right? And so then you're going to have another entity that's formed if you are not a medical doctor. And with that second entity, that is your med spa. And the med spa then contracts with the MSO for the admin of the med spa. And then the med spa is also going to contract with different healthcare providers, being physicians, nurse practitioners, or RNs, to provide the clinical services that that med spa is going to give their clients or customers.
So when it comes to ownership and partnership agreements, it sounds like it's a little complicated. What common mistakes do you see that could have been prevented had they come to a specialist like yourself?
Right. I think the biggest mistake that I see is that specifically in the healthcare arena is that you have non-healthcare attorneys doing it.
Mm.
Now, in my practice as well, I do business transactions and business formations. You want to start a bakery, you want to start a florist shop, you want to start a trucking company, I can do that too. But what makes healthcare different are the nuances, especially how it affects that physician and that physician's license and that nurse's license. And if you don't have an attorney that's well versed in that, then you will run into problems. So, for example, if a physician if a physician is owning 51% of a med spa, which in Texas is the minimum amount that they could own, and they want to come and rent a room out of here, then you have to lease that room at fair market value. Whatever the going rate for that square footage in that area of town is going to be. If it's $200 a square foot or 50 cents a square foot, whatever that fair market value, that has to be taken into consideration. So if your buddy, the chiropractor, wants to give you the back office room and I'm only going to give it to you at $50 a month, that sounds like a kickback, right? And
Yeah.
so those are the things that we really need to be cognizant of. And a healthcare attorney is the best person that's going to be able to cite those flags for you.
Yeah. Speaking of flags, let me kind of circle back. You mentioned when you're talking about the doctor's license or the nurse's license, is it possible you can put those things at risk if you do this wrong?
Absolutely. The penalties are severe. There are a number of health spas or med spas that if you are not operating compliantly within the state of Texas, then the fines accrue per
Oh.
day per charge. And not only is it a monetary fine, like a civil fine, but you could go to jail
Mm. Yeah, that's not
because
good.
you might be practicing medicine without a license if your med spa isn't set up correctly, or you might be violating the corporate practice of medicine doctrine. And so those are real and serious things that if the state gets wind of it, it's a slow moving machine, but once it starts moving, it's not going to stop.
It's
And
relentless.
it
Yeah.
is relentless. And so, really, the objective is to protect the health of the general public, right? And so, if you are operating non compliantly, then you are putting not only your freedom, but your license and fines per day in jeopardy. So, it's
Wow.
serious. It is
It
very
is
serious.
serious. So it really pays, I think, to have a professional in this case, a
I think
specialized professional.
right, because the money that you're going to spend is really an investment.
Yeah.
And at my law firm, what we really try to do is to make it affordable, and to put it into a package so that when you come to us, you know exactly how much money it is going to cost for you to be compliant, within the state of Texas. And we also, help people in different states as well. But specifically for Texas, what it's going to take to be compliant. And if you don't spend that money now, I can guarantee you that you are going to spend three, four, five, 10 times that, in terms on the back end, especially if someone is injured,
Yeah.
especially if your license, because then that becomes a fight, of proving that you should not lose your license, whether that's your medical license or your RN license.
You mentioned, Texas and surrounding states. How does scope of practice law vary from state to state, and how do you help your clients navigate who can do what in their med spa?
Sure. So, specifically for Texas and other states like Texas that have the corporate practice of medicine doctrine, like California, for example, there are a lot of similarities. Now, I am only licensed in the state of Texas, so that's the only place that I'm licensed to practice. But I can advise as to, based on my knowledge and my history, as to different states and what's allowable. Some states, for example, anybody can own a med spa. But the gray area is that they strongly suggest that it be a physician. So, where do we want to, how much liability is somebody willing to take on with that strongly suggest language, right?
Right.
And then, likewise, certain states allow you to have a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant be a medical director. Texas is not one of those states. And so, if that's the case, then what other precautions does that individual need to take into account? Specifically, it might be, upping your malpractice insurance, or just other scenarios that need to be taken into account in order to try to mitigate as much liability as possible. A very good healthcare attorney, regardless of the state that they're practicing in, should be very conservative, meaning that we are going to err on the side of caution. I do not want to get anywhere near that line, however gray that line might be. And if someone is willing to take on more of a risk, then my job is just to educate them, on those zombie apocalypse kind of scenarios so
Yeah.
that they're able to make that business decision, right? But essentially, the way that I see it and the way that I practice is that I want to be as conservative as possible to make sure that my clients are not exposing themselves to needless liability.
Have there been any recent court cases or regulatory shifts that you think would shake up the med spa industry in the near future?
I do. I've had a number of clients come to me, and I don't remember the House bill number, but in the state of Texas, there is a push to not have, nurse practitioners, performing services in within medical spas, and that is really going to shake some things up, trying to censor the services that they're going to be able to provide. I could see arguments on both sides. Really, I think it would be, helpful to have nurse practitioners, really involved in medical spas, and I think it will also alleviate some of the stuff that doctors, are doing and allow them to be involved in more scenarios and more to providing more care. So yeah, that is something I've had a lot of people also with GLP-1s. There's a lot of regulation that's surrounding that. And I've had a couple of clients that are worried, like, what does this mean? And, there is some litigation out there where a manufacturer is suing a compounding pharmacy. So, what does that mean for the little guy, right? The
Yeah.
small compounding pharmacy. And so, really, because we're at the very beginning of that, there's this kind of wait and see approach because we want to see where is this going, right? Like
Yeah.
what are the maneuvers that this manufacturer are going to be making against this compounding pharmacy? And so those are real life situations that we gotta unfortunately wait and see. That's like the worst answer you could give your client.
Yeah.
But at this time, we gotta wait and see because it really could go either way. And so, guiding my clients, if you want to make the business decision to be more conservative with this new litigation or this new house bill, then what is that going to look like for you? What are the pros and cons for that? And that's what I think sets Brewster Law apart because we really want to be your partner. So I love it when my clients are like, "Did you hear about this? What do you think?" We don't want to have a knee jerk reaction, but we definitely want to think about all the different scenarios and allow that CEO or that business owner with their executive team to make informed decisions.
So, how on earth do you keep up with both the business and legal side in this ever changing healthcare regulation environment?
Well, that's a really good question. I am an absolute nerd for this stuff. I love it. I seek it out. I read it. I do a lot of self-education, and then we've also had the privilege of having a new associate join our group, and
Yay!
she's an RNJD. And so
Nice.
that basically means she's a registered nurse. She's still licensed with the state of Texas, and she is a licensed attorney and is also getting a master's in healthcare law. So those are skills that are going to be really beneficial to our clients, and that is what I feel is going to set us apart from other healthcare entities. Like it's important to have an attorney that's very knowledgeable, especially in healthcare, but having someone that has this clinical expertise and is
Yeah,
actively a clinician, I think that that's going to just be able to be such an asset for our clients.
absolutely. Boots on the ground. There's
Yep,
nothing like in the trenches experience.
exactly.
So let's just to kind of tie it up with a bow. What is one legal blind spot that even savvy business owners tend to miss, and what can they get started doing something about it today?
I would say legal blind spots would be the contracting aspect. The number of people that the med spa, or the number of entities that the med spa is going to need to contract with are a lot, right? In
Mm,
order to be compliant. It's more than just the doctor, it's more than just the nurse, it's more than just the medical director, but making sure that, whose NPI number are we using to get the Botox, to get the GLP-1s, to get the IV hydration, making sure that that supply chain is well established and that you're using credible suppliers, right? And just making sure that your staff is really well trained on the different services that you might be providing.
very good. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us today, Lisa.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on Red Flags with Elissa Brewster. You can find her at brewsterlawtx.com. And please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review so other people can find this important information.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.